thank you. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, David Gunzerath from the MRC, to talk about data quality, data integrity, data validation, and data correction. And I will be playing the challenging dual role as both MC and moderator. So David, welcome. Please take it away.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I ask your forgiveness if I go through the deck very quickly this morning. Some of the stuff was covered yesterday at a high level by my colleagues George and Ron from the MRC. But really what I want to focus on today is what we see our role at the MRC as being in validation and quality enhancement. Just a little bit about the background of the MRC, which we covered pretty much yesterday, but we have a very simple mission. Industry measurement services that are valid, reliable, and effective. And we actually take a two-phased approach to realizing that mission. And this is really how we do what we do, if you're not as familiar with our process. We write standards, and these standards then serve as audit assessment criteria, and then we oversee an audit process of organizations that seek to have services assessed as whether or not they're compliant with the standards, and if we find that they are, we accredit them. And these processes work together. One feeds the other. We write a standard, we'll go out and do an audit against those standards, and those audits inform us, and we learn a lot from those audits. And as a result of that, we take that learning back and we reassess the standards, we pressure test them, we update them, we modernize them to keep up with things. So both of these pieces are really important, and we think they're kind of the key to our ability to do what it is we do in a sound way. Ron, my colleague, talked a little bit yesterday about our digital measurement improvement efforts that we've done over the last couple of years through the Making Measurement Make Sense program. And we really broke it down into three phases. One is foundational work, which I assume everyone in here is familiar with viewability, work on enhancing the rigor by which invalid traffic is filtered out of measured counts. They're all foundational to improve the overall state of digital measurement. We've done a lot of work in mobile in this regard. We actually have standards in place now for mobile measurement that we think are pretty solid for moving forward. And that has led us into the next phase, which is achieving measurement comparability across media types. We issued in December a digital audience measurement standard document, and from there we're transitioning, and we have a current project on cross-media. Ron talked about this yesterday as well, and so that's underway right now. And moving from there, we plan to, and some of this work is actually being done in parallel, focus on better measures to demonstrate advertising value. And this has been kind of a common theme of this conference. Moving from metrics that simply infer value relationships based on exposures or whatever to other metrics that can more directly demonstrate ad value. We think that's very important. We're doing work on external data sources that are used to inform and enhance ad measures. We're actually doing auditing now of location providers, location data providers, identity data sources. We've written a set of standards for location data, so I'd encourage you to read that. We're also currently engaged in refining verification standards around brand safety, which is a very topical issue right now. So, since I have 3 minutes left, there is something I want to talk about a little bit here, because we think we have a very sound process for promoting quality and have a validation process to support that. But in keeping with the disruption theme of the conference, I wanted to talk a little bit about our viewability standard, which obviously has been a big source of discussion over the last few years, and not just a little debate and controversy at times. You know, whether it's the time requirements that we instituted, whether you have 50% or 100% of an ad in view to qualify as viewable, et cetera. Our standard, was important in bringing viewability to the marketplace, and I'd encourage everybody to take a step back and to look at where we've come from in a relatively short amount of time. Many of you are probably familiar with a quote from John Wanamaker about advertising and advertising waste. He always said, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. Well, with viewability, we actually took advantage of a relatively unique opportunity specific to digital advertising to be able to identify a big chunk of what was being wasted and call that out and allow buyers and sellers to negotiate the appropriate value for the different pieces of ad inventory that they were seeing. So if you think about it, 5 years ago, much of the digital ad spend in the US and in the world was spent on non-viewable inventory, 40, 50% or more by most measures. And since the standard was introduced in 2014, it's really literally allowed for billions of dollars in savings and more efficient ad investments to happen. So John mentioned in the last presentation some of the things associated with opportunity cost. Well, I would put forward that there's a big opportunity cost that can come with letting the perfect get in the way of the good. So we have a viewability standard in place. We think it helps position the industry better for cross-platform measurement and some of the things that we talked about for the next phase for the future in demonstrating ad value. So with that, what I'd like to just put out is an invitation to everyone worldwide to work with us on this. And to the extent we can work collaboratively to bring better standards and practices forward, I think is going to be good for everyone. At the very minimum, we should try to work in parallel rather than reacting to each other. I also think we should build standards that complement each other, rather than recognizing that there may have to be some differences between what's adopted in one place and what's adopted elsewhere. But if they complement each other, that works to everybody's benefit. And certainly it does to the advertisers' benefits who fund the entire ecosystem. So with that, I'll close. Thank you, and look forward to having some questions.
Thank you. Please have a seat.